Hello, my name is Nicholas Casillas. I'm the Business Relations Coordinator. I'm coming out of San Antonio, and thank you everybody for being here. Today we're going to cover disability awareness. My understanding that some of these businesses that are here today have had experience with hiring individuals with disabilities, and some may be a little hesitant. So today we're going to talk about that. Some of the objectives today, we're going to foster an understanding that disability is in our everyday life. I was in a training where I was talking to Boeing, and we were talking about when were you first exposed to it? And I had a light bulb go off over my head, and I was like, my dad. I didn't realize that I had grown up and he had amputations on his dominant hand from an accident that he had way back when. But growing up, I would have never considered my dad to be disabled. And I talked to him about it, and he had said, well, I did have to, with my dominant hand, so I had to learn with my left hand. I had to, everything was a change for him. He was raising you, trying to get you with a chancla. It was difficult. But those are some of the adjustments that we do that sometimes we overlook, and we don't realize that it's happening. We're going to define disability and learn about reasonable accommodations, learn about different disabilities and medical conditions. We're going to develop knowledge of person-first language and communication strategies for success in the workplace. And then we're also going to learn, time permitted, the VR program and the services available. What comes to mind when we think of the word disability? This is the question that with a smaller audience, we would ask for feedback, but for this audience, just going to have you think about it. When you think of the word disability, what does it mean? We're going to watch a video, and it's going to have some scenarios and situations in it, and I just want you to kind of think about that going into it.
Good morning, Bob.
Morning there, big man. Morning, Alice!
There's no need to be awkward.
Poor Bob. Like so many of us, he just doesn't know how to interact with people with disabilities.
It's pretty easy, really. People with disabilities are people first.
We need the same things that every person needs, like respect.
Good morning, everyone.
Attention! Okay. Maybe we need to be more specific.
The easiest way to show respect is to focus on the person, not the disability. It's okay. You'll get the hang of it.
One easy way to focus on the person is to watch the person signing and not their interpreter.
Or their companion.
It's really cool that you'd like to help, but do us both a favor and please ask me first. What you think might be helping?
I got you.
Wait, ah! Oh no, might actually not.
If you'd like to offer me help, let me hold on to your elbow. Don't take mine.
Hey, would you like to take my arm?
Sure.
Assistive devices help us to live our lives. They're really important and really personal.
Grabbing them only makes it weird for everyone.
What?
Please only touch our devices and service animals if we've given you permission. And don't take it personally if I ask you not to. Remember that my service animal helps me all the time. Neither of us would like it if we were separated.
Remember, we make our own decisions. We sign documents, vote, volunteer, work, and pay taxes.
We get married.
So don't underestimate me just because I have a great smile.
Just because I'm blind
May I help you?
does not mean I'm deaf.
I don't know. I think he said he was going to come. Just because I'm deaf doesn't mean I'm blind.
And just because I use a wheelchair doesn't mean that I can't sweep you off your feet.
So take a deep breath. Relax. We don't bite.
Unless we're really hungry.
Hello there, ladies. How are you?
Hello. And if you're not sure what to do, just ask.
Hi, would you still like to see a menu?
No thanks, but can you please read it to me?
Sure, definitely.
Just treat us the way you would want to be treated, and we'll all be okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, Alice.
Morning.
Awkward no more. Nice job, Bob. Go forth and be human.
There's no need to be awkward.
So that video had some little comical moments in it, but I think the point was sent out, and that you don't have to be awkward. It's a conversation. It's getting to your employees or employers and just saying, is there something that I can help you with? Who are they? It's kind of been marketed that when you see this placard, you think of a person with disability in a wheelchair, and it's not the case. We have everything from invisible to visible disabilities. Some of them are apparent and non-apparent, and we're going to be talking about that. Disability defined. Americans with disabilities, the ADA, an individual with a disability is a person who has a physical or mental impairment that substantially limits one or major life activities, has a record of such impairment, or is regarded to having such an impairment. Statistically, 1 in 4 individuals in any room has a disability. It can happen by happenstance, accidental, by birth, or just getting older. I have a birthday coming up, Sunday actually. I'll be 39. I almost said 29. Yeah, just starting to feel it. Things are starting to, feel a little different, and I may need something further down the line. And when we bring this statistic to individuals or employers, they say, well, we don't hire people with disabilities. And I said, stats would say otherwise. So speaking to those apparent and non-apparent disabilities, we have physical, neurological, developmental, paralysis, amputations, and blindness. Those are ones that kind of right off the bat, and especially when doing interviews or asking for accommodations, you say to yourself, well, I see that there's obviously something here. Some of those non-apparent are the deafness or hard of hearing, low vision or blindness, depression, seizures, cognitive impairments, chronic pain, illness, or PTSD is a big one too, especially with our veterans. In my previous role, I have a big background with the blind and low vision. I was a vocational rehabilitation teacher with the BVI program, VR. And I could tell you that individuals with low vision had a harder time than individuals with blindness because they would pretend that they could see when they couldn't. So they'd get themselves in more trouble than somebody that just kind of allowed them to be immersed in the training or say, you know what, this is just how I have to do things now. There was an incident where a guy was, he was walking with his feet shuffling, and I was like, we have the training with the cane and we have the training for you. You just need to, allow yourself to do it. He said, I don't want to use the cane because it's going to make it look like I have a disability. And I said, well, you think walking around like this is making you confident or not a target? And he kind of had okay. And I said, with the cane, you're upright. It is apparent that you do have a disability because you're walking with the cane, but you have the skills to keep you safe. Person first language. Time has changed, and the way we say things isn't the same way that we used to say back in the day. Not acceptable, handicapped, disabled, an autistic person, or a big one, mentally retarded, or wheelchair bound. These are words that can be a little aggressive in the description of an individual. We want to say person first language, a person with a disability, a person with autism, a person with the intellectual disability or IDD, or a person who uses a wheelchair. These are more of a friendlier way to address individuals with disabilities. Emphasize the person and not the disability. What is an accommodation? A change in the workplace or in the way things that are customarily done to assist an individual with a disability in the employment process. These accommodations don't have to be purchased. A lot of them are just some of the accommodations of time management. Simple. I've seen simple enough with small businesses where they needed to raise a desk and said, I can't buy those electric desks that rise up and it's going to cost too much. They use bricks and just kind of lift it up just enough just to raise it. And then maybe in the future make those purchasable accommodations, but kind of thought outside of the box and something that was manageable for the employer. I thought that was great, and it shows that kind of outside of the box thinking that is needed for individuals in this space. And a lot of the time just asking the individual, because they'll say, well, I do this at home. And they're like, oh, well then, yeah, we can do that here, no problem. In the blind and visually impaired program, there was a customer. We have these bump dots, and there's these clear acrylic dots that you stick on electronic devices or just places you want to mark. I was a teacher, and I'd go into the home, and I was trying to mark his devices, his kitchen appliances, and things to make it more tactile so that he could easily find, locate, or remember where things are at. And he said, no, I already have that. And I was like, oh, somebody's come here before? And he was like, no, I went to Hobby Lobby and I got those googly eyes. And I said, the googly eyes? And he was like, yeah, the eyes that are on, that you put on sock puppets. And I was like, can I see this? And he's like, yeah, come to the kitchen. I showed it to the kitchen, and for those who know Pee-wee's Playhouse, like everything had eyes. It was a comical moment for him and I. He was like, yeah, I just make things work. And I love that he said that, because that showed me that with anything going forward, he's going to want to put in the effort, think outside the box, and just use the things that he could. He didn't wait for somebody with our program to get to them to just kind of sit there and woe is me. He's like, what can I do for myself now? And what can I, he's letting his other individuals that he knew that were blind share those eyes. And so those accommodations can be for the application process, to enable someone to perform the essential job functions, to enable an employer to enjoy equal benefits and privileges of employment. Types of accommodations. We went into the low tech just right now with those googly eyes. We have high tech. That's with installing ramps, video phones, vehicle modifications, CCTVs. If you're not aware of what that is, it's a device that sits on top of a desk or a table, and it allows individuals with low vision to magnify or change the color contrast of what they're looking at, of small documents from mail, newspapers, business memos, proposals, the whole gambit. And in my experience, that the contrast that we think, oh, just flip it black and white, a lot of the time, that's not what works for every individual. Every individual is an individual, and every disability is different with that person. No one person with a vision problem has that same vision. You don't think, oh, I'll just do what I did with this guy over here, because it varies in various degrees. We have the OCR software and screen readers and magnification. Low tech, adjusted work schedules. That's what I was talking about earlier. Lighting, here is well lit, but for some individuals, too much light, and it may need more of a warmer tone. May help for those individuals. A pillow for the chair for somebody that's at the desk for a long period of time. Tactical dots, those are what I was talking about earlier. And large print. A lot of the time in the correspondence, when we're doing meetings as this and you want to address the entire staff, getting that extra or that one or two papers and doing it in a font that's a little bigger, it often helps along the way. Earplugs or recorder. Recorders are also for individuals with low vision or no vision, or just somebody that has cognitive issues, to record everything that's going on, similar to what we're doing now, but so that it can be reviewed at a later time, so that they can pause and understand and continue as they need. Or if they need to address it with the other staff, they can go ahead and do that as well. The medium cost for a reasonable accommodation. What do y'all think it is? A, B, C, or D? Go. A? Okay, we have an A. Sir, in the red? Give me a number. A, B, C, or D? C. Ma'am? C? And C would be correct. It averages to $300 for the high end, or not even the high end, it's like that mid-grade entry-level accommodation. A lot of the times it's that outside of the box thinking, as far as adjusting the table or putting up markers or adjusted work schedules. So when employers think that, oh, I'm gonna have to pull an arm and a leg to get the Mercedes of accommodations, you don't have to. There's a lot of different items before that. And then, yes, ma'am.
Would that be depend on what device you're talking about?
So it does depend on what device, and with what program, or with the VR program, we can also help with that. So when joining with the workforce and the VR program, we can help pay for some of those accommodations. And so when you're talking about maybe
Something like a hearing aid.
a hearing aid, yeah, hearing aids, yeah, that's something that we have our specialists, and we can sign up, and it's free of charge with our services. And so those are accommodations that we can provide. And yes, now they're doing Bluetooth that hook up to, I think, laptop screens, you know, phones and stuff like that.
She's recording you right now because she has hearing aids. So
What?
She has
No, I'm just kidding.
she's recording.
Yes,
so,
yeah, okay, yeah.
You know, to go back and read it. That's
Yeah.
why I was saying, like, you know, to get some kind of device for phones to be able to hear better through her phone because she answers phone calls all day long.
Yes, yeah. And so another thing is that you try to make things as accessible as possible. It's almost, I mean, there's ways to do it, but if doing it for presentations, doing it for like your staff, you're gonna miss one or two individuals and you may feel bad about it. But it's a conversation to go ask them, you know, what would be the best way? Hey, I'm sorry, next time, how can I do this? And so for me, maybe some captions would have been better on my display so that, you know, it would be more accessible. Ask Jan. Ask Jan is a free resource online, and it's a accommodation network from A to Z where you can look in and type in what disability that you think you're working with, or in that same area, or specific ones, and it'll give you recommendations on. Typically, these recommendations or accommodations are needed. Typically, you'll see this. Typically, this is something that is experienced, and it also has counselors and lawyers that deal in disability law. For if I'm going to hire an individual that may be blind, I'm a little nervous about what to expect. They'll counsel you and one-on-one so that you feel a little more confident going into those situations. It has publications, articles. An ADA library, and it's a great resource to have. So ask Jan. The autism spectrum disorder. When these are just some examples and some tips that what you want to do when you've identified an individual that maybe is on the spectrum. You want to give show me interviews. I was talking to, I think it was Wilson, right? And he was telling me that here in Corpus, I had not experienced this in San Antonio, but here in Corpus, a couple employers are using an AI for interviewing or setting up the interview, correct?
Yeah.
And it's not autism friendly. It has an AI generated, I imagine, prompts, and then it says count of 3, give us your spiel. So somebody that needs to have like show me interviews or show me directions kind of has issues with that. And then another barrier that was running into is that it's an automated thing, and so the interviewee and the interviewer aren't meeting at the same location. So with somebody with a disability, there's multiple steps that as far as transportation, schedule, arrangements, and all these other things that have to do just to get to that interview, and then to have nobody there, it's a bit of an issue. Yes, sir.
I would say that one thing with interviews we do that's very autism unfriendly is ask hypotheticals. Oftentimes there's literal thinking, so a what would you do situation that they've never encountered before, that might just lead to 30 seconds of silence.
Mm-hmm. Or could you repeat the question, or just waiting for the next question? I know we have a statewide job club where we just recently experienced that situation. And the instructor had asked a question similar to what Mr. Wilson had gave an example of, and it was silence for a while. But because there was multiple staff that have dealt with autism, blindness, and hearing impaired, we adjusted and we just addressed it, and then we were able to fix it. But it's one of those teachable moments. So we now adjusted the future job club virtual meetings to not do this to the customers that have possibly never experienced a situation like this. So another good tip is to put verbal instructions in writing. Slow down questions. I may be talking too fast. Give more time to think. Assure that taking more time is okay. This one always kind of messes me up. Have the same few people ask questions and give directions. You don't want to have 20 people coming in and demanding different things from this individual. Building a rapport also helps mitigate any of confusion. And you want to allow lots of repetitive practice. Give options on what to do and say if you do not have the answer for the question, and consider the use of noise-limiting headphones. Or in the Workforce Solution Center over there in Alamo, they have like a de-escalation room, or like a diffuse room, where it's kind of off to the side, where if in the general area, and I believe they may have one here as well, where individuals can go over there and kind of just do it in a secluded room. Deaf and hard of hearing. There's a wide range of hearing loss and communication methods. We're doing recording here. There's speech to text. There's also video phones. It's okay to use the term deaf. So with this particular disability, individuals who tend to be deaf really identify with the disability. This is the exception to the person first language. It is kind of turned into like a cultural disability. And I see it a lot in San Antonio. I don't know if the individuals see it here in Corpus. To get the attention of a person with a hearing loss, you can call his or her name, or if there's no response, lightly touch them on the arm or shoulder, or wave your hand. Always face and speak to the individual, not their companion or interpreter, as we saw in the video. When I first got into this agency, I would work with individuals with Usher syndrome, and that was what's the word? The secondary disability would be vision and hearing loss, and so I would have a lot of experiences working with the interpreters, and where I would just look to the interpreter instead of the customer. Got corrected and had made adjustments, but I didn't know coming into the agency. It was just something that I had to learn, and it was okay. It was a teachable moment. Use facial expressions and body language to communicate the emotion of the message. I've seen a couple of times on the YouTubes where they're doing interpretations of concerts, and you see the individual interpreting, and they're getting really wild and expressive, and that's an example of the emotion that they're putting into the songs, whether it's country or hip hop and stuff like that, or just regular speech. You want to emphasize what you're saying. Consider alternate ways to provide information. Writing, email, texting, faxing are great ways to ensure accuracy and decrease frustration. Physical and mobility impairments. We saw in the video a lady that was crossing the threshold of a door entrance, and she was using the door to physically support her so that she could make the adjustments needed going into the room. I'm sure everybody, we're good people, we're good Samaritans, and so if you see somebody struggling, you're going to go, oh, I got it. And what happened is that it took her support and she fell. Let alone that open a whole nother mess of, if she got hurt, it may open a whole nother weed of issues. But just say, hi, Martha, or I didn't catch her name, but hi, Martha, is there, can I help you with something? She'd be like, no, I'm just going to A and B or Z room. Just starting that conversation. Be human. Don't be afraid to address them, or if we go, hey, we haven't met. Is there something that I can make? I'm Nicholas. Can I help you? You want to keep the ramps and wheelchair accessible doors unlocked and unblocked, and always feel free to shake hands. Be aware of the person's reach limits. So, we had made some adjustments to the room, but if it was in the original configuration, I'm not trying to throw papers out to the individuals. I want to make my way around and address everybody as an individual. Blindness and visual impairments. Yeah, this is the big one, and this is the one I kind of speak more on because I'm real passionate about it, because I did 7 years with it. You want to identify yourself when interacting, entering, or leaving a room. Again, when I had first started, I was working with a counselor. She had retinitis pigmentosus, and what that means, she doesn't have peripheral vision. I'd seen her down the hallway, and I needed to staff a case with her. I walked in thinking that she had seen me when she walked by. She went to go get coffee. I went into her room, sat down, and just said, I'll talk to her when she gets back. She got in, closed the door, did her whole routine, and it was too late. I was like, she didn't see me. And then she's gonna scream. They're gonna think something happened. She sat down and got on her computer, looked up. She was like, It was my bad. I didn't introduce myself, and I thought she had seen me. Since then, I just make it apparent, just address myself. Address individuals who are blind by name, specifically in a crowded room. Don't say, hey, you, or hey, can you get that over there for me? That doesn't mean anything to somebody who can't see. Feel free to use the word that refers to the vision, and never take hold of the white cane or service animal. This is the big one. Dogs, service animals, they're cute. You want to touch them, but they're working. It's imperative that you don't break that training, because if it happens enough, the dog will be like, hey, if I do this, somebody will come rub my chin. It's important that you don't, while the dog is working, distract them from the owner. And the white cane, you don't want to take that away from somebody who can't see. That's essentially their eyes. That's what they're using to be safe from here, outside, and back home. You want to give clear directions and share information on surroundings. Offer assistance with mobility by using sighted guide. Sighted guide is where in the video we had an individual ask if he wanted to take my elbow, and he'd take him around into the room. That's one way. And it's just maybe you can hold my shoulder, my elbow. There's other ways of doing it, but that's more technical. But just for generality, you can offer a sighted guide. And offer to read information. That's a big one. For the restaurant situation where he was like, hey, would you like a menu? She said, no, if you could read me the specials. And it would just, it's a method or a tactic that we use every day, but you don't think about it because you're like, I'm not going to read the whole memo I barely read it. Just give the highlight points. Some things to consider. Disability does not reflect or define capability. If you have met a person with a disability, you have met one person with a disability. That goes into what I was saying earlier, that every individual is an individual and every disability is different with that individual. Ask questions and do not make assumptions. Direct your attention to the individual, not their interpreter or companion. And use alt text, large print. And these are recommendations. I know there's some individuals that may have a particular font or size that they like. 16 through 18, Vario Verdana. And consider different learning styles for information retention. The VRS, TWC. Our program is here to help prepare for, maintain, and advance meaningful employment. Who is eligible? It's the 4 questions that are asked with every customer is, do you have a mental or physical impairment? And is that impairment getting in the way of work? Do you require VR services to prepare, maintain, or advance in employment? And the big one is, do you want to work? And I guess the other big one is that income is not a consideration eligibility. If you do make above, I think it's called the BLR, there's a conversation that happens, but we understand that there's situational things that happen, and we just want to maybe see if they can meet us halfway, but a lot of our program and our services are free. Any questions?
In that case, would somebody have to pay like a cost share or like a deductible or half of the
So not a deductible, but I think it's a conversation that happens with so every individual is different, every disability is different, so we understand that. So we would have a conversation of if you can do this much, then we'll pay the rest. And that's combined with all the additional services that we'll be providing. But if it's that one high ticket whatever, then we'll have that conversation. But it's a conversation with the counselor and the customer. Yes,
do you have an age gap, like from what age to what age?
So what we work with is, I it's 16 and up, as long as you want to work. The big one is if you want to work. We do run into the situations where we have people over 55 that think they want to work. And so they come to us and they say, I want to work. They say, okay, great. We're going to have to do this. I don't know computers. Okay, well, we can teach you computers. I don't have a resume. Okay, we can get your resume. And they go, oof, this is a lot of work. I don't think I want to work. And say, okay, we'll pivot. We have another program. It's called the blind or the older individuals who are blind, but it also caters to general disabilities. And they provide minimal services. It's just enough to keep people comfortable and just so that they can do basic things. But the big one is if you want to work. Moving on. Yes, ma'am.
When I got my hearing aids, I went through Texas Workforce, and my program went through my income, and the state paid for it. So, do you have programs like that, that are still like that?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. I can get your name, and if you're so interested, or is that what you were going with then, or?
Because you're talking about the cost share kind of thing.
Yeah.
I was wondering if there's some hearing aids or visual and glasses or something that they can go through. I wasn't working there.
Yeah. So with the program, we have contractors that deal with all the different disabilities, whether it's vision, hearing aids, anything, as you stated, the visual accommodations. And we work with them, and that's with the customer in the loop, but it has nothing to do with the customer. So
what about caption phones?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, we can provide all of that.
Okay.
Some SIL requirements. SIL participants must meet the following criteria. Must be a student with a disability between the ages of 14 and 22 who is enrolled in school. Must be a VR customer. That's a big one. We like to get into the situation as early as possible because we have our counselors and they do have a big caseload. So we want to get with them as soon as possible so that these conversations and we can develop their plan and start activating the different specialists that they need, they may or may not need. Be representative be receptive to counseling. Thank you. To counseling and guidance about the importance of workplace behavior, and be motivated to participate in the work-based learning program. Accommodations can include things like adaptive aids, timers, American Sign Language interpreters, work experience training are permitted depending on site accessibility or policy. And this is, I think I'm starting to get on the tail end of my time, but this is the Start My VR. This is the QR code. The QR code will get you in a queue, but the best way to get the services would be to call that statewide call center number, the 512-936-6400. They will get your name, your zip code, and connect the individual with the closest office, and then the conversation will start from there. Any questions? Okay, well, if there's no questions, I want to say thank you for allowing me to present to y'all, and I hope y'all have a good rest of the day.
Thank you.